like low-key kind of sexual. And I'm like, with your granddad? Weird. So I finally saw Sonic 3, and that is what we are going to be talking about today. Welcome back to my channel if you guys have been here before, or welcome to my channel if you are new. So today we are going to be doing a movie review of Sonic 3. If you guys haven't seen my trailer reaction videos, I have two, and I will link them down below so you guys can go and watch my trailer reaction videos first, and then you can come back and watch this one. So I think how I'm going to set out this video is I'm going to tell you guys the storyline, just so you guys have an understanding, refresh the memory, and also for me, so I don't forget like what's happening. So we're gonna do a little, you know, talk through of what actually happened in the film, and then I'm going to talk about the things I liked about this film, and then talk about the things I didn't like about this film, and it's gonna be a fun time. So let's get into the storyline because I'm so excited to talk about this. I've been waiting for ages to see this film, and yes, we're just gonna talk about it. So let's go. Okay, so the film first begins with Shadow breaking out of the prison he has been in, which he's like been in for 50 years. And obviously since he's broken out of his prison, we cut to a scene with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles being asked by the Corporation Gun to stop an attack in Tokyo in Japan, where I guess is where Shadow's been held all these years. And when they arrive, everything is on fire and it's all chaotic because Shadow's power is chaos energy. Yeah, we're just gonna go with the umbrella term that he has, chaos energy. When Sonic and the gang arrive in Tokyo, they obviously have no idea who they're fighting, and then this scene, there's like fire on, like, I think it's a car, and you just see Shadow's feet like, and there's a banging song on, and you just know he's coming, and you're just like, oh my god. Awesome entrance, if I do say so myself. Yes, sir. And then it's quite funny because Shadow's like, it's either Sonic or Shadow is like, why do you look like me? And then the other one's like, no, why do you look like me? And Sonic's like, I'll be doing the questions here. And he's like, okay, but why do you look like me? So it's quite funny. I'm like, dude, are they related? Who knows? So they're having their fun little conversation, and then Shadow asks them to leave. I will note, see, Shadow is the best. He asks them to leave, and Knuckles is the one who instigates the fight and tries to attack him, which obviously makes Shadow retaliate and attack them back. So actually it was like Knuckles who instigated this whole thing, so he would have left them alone if it hadn't been for like Knuckles trying to fight everybody. So just saying, Shadow ain't bad. He was just protecting himself. I will not be moved on this. So after the gang get defeated by Shadow, they go to like this Japanese anime like cafe, which looks awesome. And they meet with Captain Walters, who I don't remember at all. I haven't seen the films in a while, but obviously he was in the previous films, and they get attacked by like Eggman's bots, and Captain Walters ends up being killed. And it's kind of like anticlimactic. Like, maybe it's because I haven't seen the films in a while, but his death was like, you know, wasn't making really feel anything. I'm like, oh, he's dead. Shame. But yeah, so yeah, they're getting attacked by Eggman's bots. And while he's dying, he gives Sonic this launch card. And I can't remember if he says what it's for, but it's for something mysterious. We'll get into this later because I have no clue. So he dies. RIP, and they get saved by Agent Stone, who, if you remember, is Eggman's like sidekick. What snack? So they go to Eggman's lair because Agent Stone tells them that Eggman was actually not behind the attack. So Agent Stone brings them into the crab, where Eggman is sitting on a chair watching a telenovela and eating takeaway food. Sounds like a good time to me. So Sonic and the team end up joining forces with Eggman to try and find out who's using his bots, because they think it's the same person who's like in league with Shadow. So they trace the location of Eggman's bots back to the military base, where they are confronted by Eggman's grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, and Shadow. And it's so funny. I don't know if I included this in my trailer reaction videos, but I was looking up the cast and I was trying to find the actor who plays Eggman's granddad, because I was like, he looks so familiar. I know that actor. I know him. Who is he? And I couldn't find him. No wonder. No wonder I couldn't find him, because do you know who he is played by? He's played by Jim Carrey, and there's me being like, no, this actor's so familiar. I've definitely seen him in something before. No, it is Jim Carrey in an old person's face and a fat suit. So that was quite funny, actually. But anyways, here we find out that Shadow used to be tested on by Eggman's grandfather at the military base, and this is where he became friends with Eggman's granddaughter Maria. And one night when Eggman's granddad, Shadow, and Maria were trying to escape, one of the gun soldiers accidentally ended up killing Maria, and oh, so sad. So she dies, and then the gun soldiers end up locking away Shadow and his granddad for like 50 years, I guess. So they end up capturing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and obviously Eggman joins his granddad's side, betraying them. What a shock. But Sonic and the gang end up escaping and going to get Tom and Maddie to help them break into Gun's headquarters in London to try and get the second launch key, which matches the one that Captain Walters gave them at the start of the film when he passed away. So they need to get there before Eggman and his granddad and Shadow. And the building scene is so funny, because there's this like random funny scene where like Eggman and his granddad are in these black and red leotards and have to do this like dance scene through these lasers, and it's like low-key kind of sexual. And I'm like, with your granddad? Weird. So that happened. It was funny, it was a good time, but yeah. But anyways, there's a scuffle between Sonic and all them and Eggman and whoever, all these gun soldiers. There's a scuffle going on, and then Shadow ends up popping, like apparating. He has this power where he can like poof from like one place to another. I'm just gonna call it apparating. So he like apparates into the building to save Eggman and his granddad. But if he can apparate into the building, then why did Eggman and his granddad have to then break in through like lasers and into the building in the first place to get the launch key, if Shadow could just poof into that literal building and just steal it? Like, I don't understand, because he managed to poof into it, so why did he not like poof into it when they needed the key? Someone explain if they understood, because I did not understand this part. I'm like, is that a plot hole? Someone tell me. But anyway, Shadow runs into Tom, who is disguised as Captain Walters through this like hologram technology, and Shadow obviously hates Captain Walters because he blames him for Maria's death, because when he was younger he was in the military base with Shadow and Maria and blah blah blah, and was with them when Maria was killed, so he obviously hates him. So he uses his chaos power on him and attacks him, and obviously the hologram technology like comes off and he sees it's Tom, and he's like really confused, like, wait, what is happening? And then Sonic runs over and is like, Tom, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then we see Shadow like having a flashback to when Maria was lying on the ground and kind of like the same situation, and you kind of see him be like, oh. But then he just goes away. We'll get into this later because, So the bad guys then escape and launch this spaceship that Eggman's granddad had like designed, which is, I guess, what the launch keys were for, to like get into the spaceship and activate it. We'll also get into that later. And obviously Tom's not waking up, he gets taken to the hospital. Sonic's obviously upset, thinking Tom's maybe not gonna make it, and he says he needs the master emerald, and Knuckles has the Master Emerald and says they will never use the Master Emerald like ever again, especially not for revenge. So they fall out because Sonic's like out of his mind because he's worried about Tom. So he goes off by himself and steals the Master Emerald, which makes him go like all powerful and turn into this like golden being with like red eyes, which honestly is so creepy. Like, not a fan. So he ends up zooming into space and fighting with Shadow, who then also gets powered up by the Master Emerald. I think they both have like half of the power each. So Sonic's like golden with red eyes, and then Shadow's like white and red with red eyes. So they're like fighting back and forth until Sonic is a way to essentially kill Shadow, because Shadow's like, you know, come on, finish it, and he's like pointing to his chest. And then Sonic has a flashback to the start of the film where Tom was like, Sonic, you will always make the right choices, because like, and something about his heart, like he points to it. So it makes Sonic be like, oh my god, I am making the wrong choice, like I am not a way to kill this hedgehog. And this like makes Shadow realize that he's also in the wrong as well. And we get this quote which Maria had said to Shadow like back in their flashbacks about how the light of the stars that you're seeing in the sky are shining, but the star itself may have like, you know, gone, so the star's actually no longer there, but the light still shines on even though it's gone. And as soon as they said that, I was like, that's coming in later, because you know she was gonna die. Like, called it in my trailer reaction. I was like, she is dying. So yeah, she did. And you just knew that quote was gonna come back, because you're like, she's the light, she is gone. He's gonna realize that, and he did. So Sonic and Shadow then team up to try and defeat Eggman's granddad on the spaceship and stop him from destroying the literal Earth. Meanwhile, on the spaceship, Agent Stone has called Eggman and he's trying to tell him like, look, your granddad, there's something wrong with him. He's going to like just try and destroy the entire planet. And at first he doesn't believe him, but then afterwards he realizes that Agent Stone was right, and with the help of Knuckles and Tails, he manages to zap his granddad like a mosquito, and he dies. R.I.P. And then honestly, Loki gets emotional because like Eggman is saving the day because he wanted to rule the world, not destroy the world. Like, that evilness is too much even for him. So he like projects himself like onto like Times Square or wherever it is. Actually, I think it's in London. Is it? He projects himself onto a screen anyway, like a billboard, and is like, has this cute message about like his friend, like Agent Stone, and Agent Stone's watching, and he's like, oh, saying all this emotional speech, and there's like fire going on in the background, and it's like, oh, too emotional. So yeah, he sacrifices himself to save the world, and it was cute. And Shadow gets blown up trying to save the world as well, which is not okay, but we'll talk about that later. And Knuckles saves Sonic and Tails because Sonic is like plummeting towards the earth, and so is Tails. So Knuckles saves them, and it's all good. And it all ends happily ever after with the gang back with Tom and Maddie reunited. However, did you think it was finished? In the end credit scene, there are these like metal Sonics with red eyes, which kind of looks like Eggman's technology, but then Eggman's dead and Gerald Robotnik is also dead. So whose technology is this? Someone tell me. And then he is saved by a pink hedgehog. Also, someone tell me her name in the comments, because is this the same pink hedgehog who was in Sonic Underground? Because yes, I have seen that and I liked it, but I cannot remember what her name was, but her character design looks sick as well. And now, if you're wondering why I wasn't that bothered when I said Shadow had died, because I was waiting for the end credit scene being like, you know, Shadow's not dead, because they've literally just like put him in. They're not gonna kill him off because everyone would be raging, aka me. So I was like waiting for it, and then the end credit scene was just the pink hedgehog. And then I got home and I was talking to my friend about it, and she was like, oh, did you not, like, there's a second end credit scene at the end where Shadow is alive. And if you guys didn't see it, it is on YouTube somewhere. Like, look up second end credit scene where Shadow comes back to life. It is Shadow's like golden bracelet thing that he wears, and his shoes. You don't even see his face, but you know his shoes because they're cool. And he's alive. But I don't know where he ended up though. Like, is he on Earth? Is he on a different planet? Because he literally got blown away from out in space to somewhere. So who knows where he is. But he's alive, so that's why I wasn't too bothered. But when he died, I was like, are you joking? Like, no, I still wasn't believing it even after I left the cinema. I was like, there's just no way he could be dead. You know what I mean? So he is alive, people. It's fine. So that was what happened in the film. That took longer than I thought it was going to explain the whole storyline, but we move. So now I'm going to get onto what I thought was done well. So firstly, I really liked the intro where we got to see Shadow's backstory, because this like allows us to see why he's doing what he's doing and that he's so angry. He's not just breaking out of his prison and trying to hurt loads of humans for no reason. He was specifically targeting the people who worked for Gunn because they're responsible for Maria's death. So we see why he's doing what he's doing, and obviously why he's angry. Like, you can understand it, and this humanizes him a lot, which helps you feel for him. And I think it's especially true because obviously Maria was a child, so I feel like that hits more. And I really like the scenes of Shadow and Maria like getting to know each other, like, you know, her on her roller skates through the hallways and then watching films together and just having a nice friendship. And when she drew the little mouse face on the outside of Shadow's tank, I feel like that was really nice and gave him a nice connection instead of being like tested on, which I'm like, was he bothered about being tested on? I don't know, but thank God he's not being tested on anymore. It was really nice that she like saw him for who he was inside, because he was really conscious about, oh my gosh, I'm an alien, like I'm so different, like am I like scary? And she just saw him for who he was on the inside, and it was so sweet and lovely. And seeing their friendship made it like such a hard hit, like when she died. So I thought that was done very well, but also I just had me like thinking that they didn't really do that for Maria and Eggman's granddad. Like, obviously that was his granddaughter and he's doing all of this because she got killed, but you never really see any scenes of them interacting. Like, I know they were leading it up to be a surprise that it's Eggman's granddad, but even afterwards, like, there could have been some flashbacks with him and Maria, so you can also see where he's coming from, but it was mostly just flashbacks for Shadow and not really Eggman's granddad. Like, to be honest, you couldn't really tell that he cared apart from the fact that he was doing this. Like, genuinely, I was like, wait, why is he doing this again? So yeah, there definitely should have been more of that. But anyways, kind of on the same line, I really enjoyed that we opened the film with Sonic and the gang, with Tom and Maddie in their everyday life, because this shows the audience like what is at stake if they fail the mission and Shadow and Grandad Eggman are successful. So I thought that was really good. It definitely showed you the stakes of the film and what it would mean for Sonic, Knuckles and Tails if they weren't successful in their mission. So that also shows you their motivation behind doing everything they did in the film and why they were so passionate about it, because their life and their family would be gone. So essentially both of the teams are trying to protect their family in different ways. And I also thought the relationship between Eggman and his granddad, aka Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey was done very well. And I was so wondering how that Santa scene that was in the trailer was going to come into this film, because I was so like, why is the granddad like dressed up as Santa Claus? But they were like VCR and having like other family moments that they missed out on, hence the Santa costume, but that was funny. So it was really nice to see Eggman with his family, as that's what has been missing from his life, and he obviously wanted to rule the world to get that attention and appreciation that he was denied as a child, obviously not having any family But then his granddad turned up, and it's obviously understandable that this made him blind to what his grandfather was doing and what his friend, who he's known for a long time, was telling him, as his granddad is now providing him with all the nurture and sense of family that he felt like he had missed out on, and the thing that was missing from his life. So their relationship and chemistry was really good, and I also really enjoyed the fact that they gave him a positive character arc in the end. Like, that was well done, because in the end he obviously put his own needs aside and stopped his grandfather from destroying the earth, because he even knows that that's wrong, and he decided to save everyone else, even though the family is the one thing that he wanted. So that was very well done. And also the negative character arc of Gerald was also done well, as we can also see why he is so shrouded in hate because his granddaughter was killed and he wants revenge. But obviously this could have been done better by seeing more scenes of him with Maria. Like, it is kind of told to us that he's doing what he's doing because he wants revenge for what happened to his granddaughter, but we don't really see that in the flashbacks like we do with Shadow, as I said before. But we still can see the reasoning behind it, and taking out the earth solves the problem of getting his revenge by killing the soldiers and thus taking out himself also in the process. Like, he was also going to die, and I think that's what he wanted, because he didn't want to live with the feeling of living without his granddaughter forever. And the reason it's a negative character arc is because he had the opportunity with Eggman to find a proper family again with him instead, but he was so blinded by hate that he didn't see the possibility for redemption and chose his revenge instead. And that is what happens when you make bad choices. You get zapped like a mosquito. And also it was quite nice that there was a little bit of conflict between Tails, Knuckles and Sonic when Sonic wanted the Master Emerald for revenge and Knuckles refused to give him it because he knew he was making bad decisions based on how hurt and worried he was for Tom at that second. And I think it was good to have his friends challenge him and tell him that he was in the wrong and not just like give in to what he was feeling, but stood firm in their own beliefs. So that was nice that they had a little bit of conflict, because, you know, you always need a little bit of conflict in a story. So that was done well. And I also liked how the ending led Sonic and the team being back together as they had been in the start of the film. So it was kind of like a full circle moment, which led nicely into the cutscene for the end of the film, which opens up the storyline for Sonic 4. So yeah, that was done well. So that was all the things that I notably really enjoyed. So yeah, now we are going to go on to the things I didn't like. And also I'm sorry for the lighting. I started filming when it was lighter and now it absolutely looks like we're in the pitch black here. So I apologize, but y'all can be festive. It's fine. So for the things I didn't like is generally to do with the plot. Like, I did feel like at times it was really unclear as to what was happening. Like, there was the whole thing with the launch codes and trying to get back at Gun, but I didn't really understand the need for the launch keys. Like, it was kind of confusing for a bit. Like, even now I'm like, what were those launch keys for? I assume they were for the spaceship that they took up into space. But like, sometimes there's like, genuinely, why? Like, what's happening? Okay, we are gonna try turn this light on because you actually, guys, like, I am invisible now. Okay, we're just putting the, oh my god. End scene. My curtains absolutely went flying there. Okay, sorry for this lighting change, but it is super dark, so we're gonna have to deal with this now. So yeah, the plot was kind of confusing in some areas. Like, we knew that Shadow wanted revenge, so I kind of understood that, and he was working with Gerald. But like, what did Eggman think that they were going to do? Like, why was he helping him get the launch key if he didn't even know what it was for? Like, what did he think they were going to do? So it was a bit confusing. Let me know if you guys like thought the kind of the same thing. So I feel like it could have been a bit more like clear, you know? But that's just me. And I think my main thing that I didn't like is how Shadow came to realize that he was in the wrong. I felt like the scene where he realized that he'd accidentally hurt Tom instead of Captain Walters and saw how Sonic was like crying for him to wake up, which made Shadow have a flashback to himself with Maria's body, was really short-lived, and that should have been the scene where he realized that he was in the wrong by realizing that in Sonic's story, he was the one who had hurt his humans like the gun soldiers had to Maria. In Sonic's story, that would be him, if you get what I mean. Instead of just like randomly fighting with Sonic, and Sonic realizes that he's not an evil person and is not going to kill Shadow, and then for Shadow to just sit up and realize, oh yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I genuinely, like, that was the only thing that I'm really not happy with in that film. I really don't feel like Shadow would have just been like, oh, Sonic's had an epiphany that he's a nice person, so magically I'm a nice person. You know what I mean? And kind of on the same line, when Shadow and Sonic are fighting and they're both like, you know, Sonic's golden with red eyes and Shadow's like got white and red fur and red eyes. I wasn't really a fan. Like, I feel like they dragged that out too long. Like, personally for me, I really like where you have characters in the scene and they're the same as they have been for the whole film. I feel like in key moments and fights, they should be the same character design, not as if you're looking at two different characters because they look quite different, where it's supposed to be like emotional and hard hitting because they don't look the same, so you don't feel the same emotion as you would if they'd just been, you know, Shadow's black and red and Sonic's blue. Like, it was kind of like really off-putting for me that they were all glowing and stuff. Like, that's just for me personally. Like, maybe you guys didn't think that, but that's just like, that also like bugged me. Oh, and when Sonic and Shadow are pushing up against the laser and Shadow like lasts longer than Sonic and Sonic ends up falling towards the earth, you'd expect Shadow to dive after him to save him since they like made up and are buddies now. But no, he doesn't. So I was like, what? Instead he goes and obviously tries to save the planet, but like, dude, get after your friend. But he just didn't. So I was like, okay. Instead, like, Knuckles and Tails go after him and get saved, and that's fine. But then they also didn't seem that bothered when they found out that Shadow had died, you know? They're like, oh. And I think the final thing is the hologram technology. Like, I found it funny when like Maddie and Tom changed into Randall Handel and Maddie's sister Rebecca. Like, that was a funny scene. We got to see Shamar more, yes. But the whole thing with the hologram technology is so just like a magical problem solver, you know what I mean? I'm like, why was it not used before? Or maybe it was and I've not seen them films in so long that I don't remember. But like, in the future, if they need, oh, we need Eggman's thing to unlock this, well, then you can just turn into him and use his face for anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it worked on the eye scanners and stuff. So yeah, but all in all, Shadow is amazing. Like, that is all I have to say about this film. I love Shadow. He's my favorite character. Let me know if you guys think the same. Like, he's just so like tortured and his character design is awesome and his power is cool. So I really want to learn more about him in Sonic 4. But yeah, he's just the best. He is the best. And that's it. But anyways, it was a good film. You guys can let me know what you thought in the comments. If you had the same thoughts as me, if you had different thoughts, you can let me know, but always be respectful to myself and other people you're talking to in the comments, because we're all just here for a fun time and to talk about Sonic. So yeah, that was my thoughts on the film. I'm really excited for Sonic 4. You guys can let me know what you think is going to happen in Sonic 4, and please let me know about the pink hedgehog as well, because I am interested. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a like, please give it a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm really going to try post more videos next year. So if you guys want to see any more videos, or if you have any recommendations of videos that you want to see from me, also comment them down below. It could be books, it could be films, anything. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. But I hope you guys have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.